Hello, my friends. Welcome to my channel. Let me ask you a question. Is there free will? Of course, some of you will say, yes, there is free will. Some of you will say that, no, free will is just an illusion. It's just in your mind. It doesn't really exist. And I think, let's say, honestly speaking, everyone would wish there is free will. But the thing is it just our wishful thinking? If there is free will, how should we prove it? Most of people will say, well, when you experience it, you will know, right? But sometimes life can be difficult. Even people who truly believe in free will, at a point of life, they will doubt is there free will. Not even mention that some of people, they actually never really experienced the free will. So in this episode, please let me explain how can we confirm the existence of free will. You might think it's a challenging topic, and I know it is, but please be patient and give me some time. I hope that this will make sense to you. First of all, please let me clarify something. There are many ways to discuss this topic of free will. Based on everyone's different preferences and their own logic, we can discuss this topic in different angles. But my preference is to discuss this through a very classical debate between general relativity and quantum mechanics, which is the determinism and uncertainty. You don't need to understand uncertainty yet, but I bet everyone heard this term, which is determinism. What is determinism? It's so easy to understand. It's saying that we always say that one cause leading to one effect, right? So that means that if we know all the causes, and then we will be able to know what is the effect going to be. So that is the logic of determinism. If we try to understand determinism by causality, then determinism is saying that the same cause necessarily produces the same effect. As long as all the causes are known, the future is uniquely determined. So this is how deterministic worldview is. However, it's not only this kind of worldview. There are other opinions. For example, uncertainty. What is uncertainty suggests is something so different, because it's saying that, first of all, the same cause does not necessarily produce the same effect. And the second thing it says that, wait, we cannot possibly know all the causes. And now you see, this debate, any topic which is related to determinism or free will, fundamentally is discussing what? It's discussing causality. And causality is a very famous topic in ancient time. For example, in ancient Indian philosophy, they always have this two trend of thought. They are like opposite to each other. They're always involved in debate and stuff like that. So one of the worldview is suggesting that the result is already contained in the causes. So it just didn't manifest yet, but it's already there. It's basically saying that. For example, if there is a seed, but eventually will become a tree, if this is the seed of the tree, then that is inevitable. Eventually, this seed will grow up to become a tree. So this effect, how eventually it's going to be, is already contained in this course. So this is the first type of worldview. And another perspective says the opposite. It says that the cause doesn't contain the effect. When the effect shows, it's just a new manifestation. It was brand new. It's nothing ever happened or contained in the cause before. It uses another analogies. It says that it's just like gold. Gold itself, you can use this material to make anything you want. Maybe you can use it to make a necklace or earrings or something else. Who knows? Who knows? Because this is just a material. But your creativity and the possibility is infinite. You never know what it can become. Because the cause itself is just purely just material. It's not something fixed yet. So you cannot say that, okay, this gold eventually gonna be necklace or it's gonna be earring. There's no other outcome, because that will be absurd. Because this material is full of potential, depends on how you make it, right? How you use it to make what kind of things if you want. So this is another kind of perspective. So we know that this debate, this thinking about causality, it has a very long history. And this would directly link to our topic of free will. So that's why we need to think more closely, more deeply about this topic of causality. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, I said my logic is what? How do I prove the existence of free will? If I can prove that determinism doesn't make sense, and then we will enter the world of uncertainty. And in the world of uncertainty, there will be a place for free will, right? So this is the logic. So now I have to debunk determinism. So I will give you several reasons why determinism doesn't make sense. Please hear me out, and I'm open for discussion. If you think differently, you can always comment and we can have discussion. That's all fine. So the first reason I give it to you is that we got to understand cause and effect is not just point to point, because in reality, the network of relationship is a giant net, right? There will be countless of so-called cause and countless of so-called effect. They're always interaction with each other and all these things. You cannot even possibly to know all of these nodes, all of these causes, because this giant net is out of our, is beyond our only just about our experience, right? As before we mentioned that, there are things, there are relational structures we can directly experience, and there are relational structures we cannot directly, but we can only indirectly experience. And there are relational structures we just simply, currently we cannot experience them at all. We don't even know their existence, right? So about this is the history proved to us, because step by step we discover more things that we didn't even know their existence. So that means what? So that means the potential relational structures, which is the so-called these nodes of causes, they might be infinite. How can you possibly know all these nodes, right? So when I'm saying that we have to be humble, it is also that we need to face this reality. We are not able to know all the causes. Not only they interact with each other, they influence on each other. So if when we think about the reality as just, oh, one point of cause lead to one point of result, cause, effect, and that's it, determined. I mean, that is very simple and even naive way to understand reality. Because reality is not that simple, it's very complex, it's very dynamic. At the same time is always full of interaction with flow. So yeah, I think being humble at this point is the first step to get rid of this illusion of so-called determinism, because determinism is suggesting that you can know all these things. It's saying that, right? Maybe it's not by human being, it's maybe by AI in the future, but essentially it's suggesting this maximum level of confidence about knowing all the causes. Let's see. And the second reason I give to you is that we all experience, right? When something happened before that, you can hear people give all sorts of theories, all sorts of predictions, and they all make sense. They all make almost the perfect sense, and they debate with each other. And when actually something happened, like which team win, or the weather of tomorrow is how it's going to be, and that time there will be people jump out and say, oh, I told you so. You say, my logic was perfect and this is how it is. And another person, just becomes so silent. And this is the part, this is the part that most of the people, they have this subconsciously, they will feel like, yeah, that person's logic make perfect sense, and this is why the outcome is like this. And this is where we are wrong. Because before the result happened, all of these different possibilities, they are all open. They are all possible. They all make their own sense in their own terms. But eventually, the result taking one of the paths among all this infinite possibility, but doesn't make other possibilities, doesn't make sense. So this is the part we got to understand. So in the deterministic logic is that when we see the result, and we feel like it enhances our affirmation that, yes, this is the path. This path was always determined. It's supposed to be this path because this path makes sense. But in reality, this is not the only path makes sense. And so, that's why there is theories like multi-universe. Every time when you choose different things, there will be another universe generated. Well, I'm not really agree with that theory because it is a little bit too more like a science fiction. But I'm just saying that we got to understand this. Our tendency, our intuitive tendency to take it for granted when something happened, we think that's the only outcome. This is our tendency, and we have to rethink about it, reflect on it, and we will find, no, that actually doesn't make that much sense as we thought. And the third reason I give to you is built based on our reflection on causality. Think about it. How we get to the conclusion there is such thing as causality is because we observe. We observe the pattern, right? So something just happened repeatedly, like the sunrise every day. So we find out the pattern, right? So when something happened in the past so many times and we observe them in our experience, so we get to the conclusion there are such patterns. So we think this kind of patterns are fixed. This kind of pattern are universal. It might just last forever, the same pattern. So this is our conclusion about such pattern will exist always. So we get to the conclusion of certain cause will lead to certain effect. So this is how we understand, we build the concept of causality. However, I'd invite you to think about one thing, right? What is the nature of reality? If you watched this channel before, then you will know the conclusion is that reality is forever flow. It's about change, constant change. So that means if you step, for example, you step into the same river, the first time you will feel the temperature, maybe is in summertime, it's warm and it's nice, the water flowing. And do you think you will ever be able to step in the same river twice? So fundamentally impossible, right? The water wouldn't be the same water, right? And if you step in it in different weather, obviously there will be even colder and all the things, it will be different. The water will be different. So that means what? That means all the patterns, they make sense. Of course they make sense, but patterns belong to the past. Patterns belong to this forever flowing river, but the path of this river. In the future, how this river gonna manifest, how this temperature gonna be, and all of these things, it's not something that you can get to the conclusion based on the past. This is something that it's not even about modesty, it's about logic as well, right? Because if we use all the data from the past to analyzing to predict the exact future, that will be not logical. We can give the possibility, we can get what is going to be the possible outcome, this. And theoretically, there will be countless of outcome possible. But if you say that, we can predict exact which future going to be. That will be, I think, that will not be realistic and not rational as well. Circumstances change, pattern change. And why pattern also change? Because patterns are based on circumstances. So if we want to find some universal pattern, never change based on changing phenomenon, that will not be logical. Because if we want to find out what is really permanent, what is really the essence of reality, we should get to the conclusion the essence is the forever change itself. And based on the conclusion that the reality is forever change, that means there is no such thing as permanent pattern or permanent phenomenon. They are all like waves in the ocean, right? What really eternal is the flow of ocean itself. It's not the wave. So this is something also we need to think about. And another reason I'd like to give you, I think it's just so obvious, is that we know that the relationship itself is always so creative, so creative. It adjusts itself. It keeps manifesting, it keeps adjusting, balancing, not just about the universe, also about, like the evolution, about every species. They're always doing this. Based on the circumstances and the history, we can see this pattern so clearly, right? So that means what? So that means the reality is full of creativity. The future, based on creativity, will be full of possibility. And this is something we should realize. And this is why that the relational structure, the relational network itself is something alive. It's not something dead. If it's something dead, of course it can be fixed. But it's not something dead, it's something alive. If something alive, then it will not be fixed. As simple as that. We can give the possibility, we can talk about possibility, but I'd really prefer us to not use the word of determinism. If you see some factor would directly determine the result, I wouldn't agree with that. I would always use the word of effect, right? Like this cause affect the result largely, right? That's fine because we all affect each other, but there is not a single cause will directly determine an entire outcome. That's impossible because we are not living just point to point. We live in a network. So this is something we always need to keep in mind, that the reality is a network. It's not just point to point. All right. And honestly, if you agree with what I said earlier, then now I think the mystery of free will wouldn't be a mystery anymore, isn't it? Because does it exist or not? And what is free will should be clear now. What is free will? Like we're talking about this openness of the relational network. So all those nodes, they can be fixable. They can be adjusted, right? And why they can be adjusted? Because they are open possibilities. It's like, I use the analogy of a camera. If you set the aperture, you set the shutter speed and ISO in a certain range, then of course the outcome will be the same, right? Every time when I use this camera face a certain view, it will show the same thing. However, there is a reason why they are fixable, they are adjustable, right? And this is the reality. All these relational nodes, especially in complex relational network, a lot of these relational nodes, they are adjustable. And every adjustable nodes means what? Means possibility, means different outcomes, means that if these things change a little bit, the outcome will be different. And what is free will? Why there is free will? Why am I so confident about this? It's because that human beings are highly intelligent, right? I'm not saying that humans are better than animals, but we do have a long period of time of this evolution that make us have this ability to have such a high intelligence level. And it can lead to, disaster. It can lead to really bad consequences. But we cannot deny the fact that this is a power. This is ability. You can turn it on or turn it off. It's just like a camera, right? Like a camera, you have this adjustable, this fixable data. You can use it. You can turn on the function. You can adjust it, or you can just not. You just put it in a fix like they don't even exist. That's your option, right? That's your choice if you don't even use this function. but doesn't mean that this camera itself is without this function. So free will is this function of our human beings' nature, that for human beings, we are not just purely follow our instinct, right? This is a crucial differences because we reflect. Sometimes we can actually do something against our instinct, against our animal nature. We do something for better goodness, and sometimes we do something bad, right? This is the double side for this free will. But we do have this ability to do such thing. So all of these abilities, these are those adjustable part in this camera. These are the function as this camera we have. So I think this probably is the best way to explain why we have free will. And before I give you all those reasons why we have to debunk the understanding, this kind of mindset of determinism. Because determinism, well, I already said earlier, so if we debunk that, then we should accept the possibility and the openness of different nodes. And these nodes can be fixed, can be adjusted. In this sense that I think there is no reason for anybody to not participate in life and try to practice free will. It's a camera with different function, but does it mean that once you have this camera, you will know how to use it? No, we learn and we practice. We all have this potential to have muscle, to have a healthy body, but if you don't practice, if you don't put in, everyday hard work to eat something healthy, to train your body, will there be muscle? Will there be healthy body? There will not be. So about free will is also about probability, right? So we have this function, we have this probability, but if you don't take it, if you don't train it, it wouldn't manifest in your life. And then the outcome will not filtered by your free will. Then the outcome will be almost deterministic, right? You understand what I'm saying here? Is that every time if we use our free will to conquer obstacles, we use our free will to against our animal instinct, or use our free will, for example, to trying to manage our anger. That's literally we're trying to participate in this network to change the outcome, right? And this is its function. But if we don't use this function, we don't use this filter, we just take it off or switch it off. We switch off the function of free will, then the outcome will be almost deterministic. Just like a camera, if you just fix the data, fix the function, you don't even use it, then the outcome will be the same. So yes, as I said earlier, there are many ways to discuss this topic about free will and everything, but I choose this path. And I think it is rational enough because it involved quantum physics, it involved rationality, philosophy, and our daily practice and all these things. It involved a lot of aspects, not just, blindly just, oh, I believe I have free will as long as I believe I have it. I mean, that is very positive, but we need a more solid base. So I believe in this way, it might be able to persuade you that free will is something really exists. But yeah, return to the reality is that if you experience it, you will have even more confidence to know the existence of free will. And eventually, we know all of these things, like intellectually, but eventually you still have to put in practice. And once you experience it, you practice it, then you will understand it, you will feel it, and then you will enhance your relationship with your free will. And that's the time you can actually make the difference. So this is a starting point to understand this rationally, logically, intellectually, that the existence of free will is real. But the next step is something that you have to put effort by yourself. And I mean, life is a long journey. We don't need to hurry. And I'm really happy to share this with you, my friend, because this is also, for myself, is also a spiritual journey and is very meaningful to a lot of people as well. Thank you for your time, and you can support me through Buy Me a Coffee. If you like my channel, please subscribe. I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.